All right, we're back here on the Gill Athletics Connections Podcast. Thanks again for joining us here during the summer of 2024. We've got the Olympics going on. What an amazing time for track and field. Really, really excited about today's guest as well. This, you've heard me say this before many, many times. We have coaches from all different levels, high school, middle school, all the NCAA levels, NAIA, etc. But when I get an opportunity to have a junior college coach on here, I'm always just a little bit more excited. I coached junior college for 1 year, and it really, really affected my life in a very positive manner. And I'm not sure a lot of people would think that. And I just always want to stress that it did. It's actually my very favorite level, my very favorite national championships, the junior college. So I'm excited to welcome the head coach of Hinds Community College in beautiful Mississippi. Help me welcome the wise, the wonderful Mr. Reginald Dillon. Reginald, how are you, sir?
We're doing good, man. Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. As I was kind of doing that intro, and I said the beautiful Mississippi, and I just started thinking about my time at Mississippi State, and hanging around a bunch of guys from Ole Miss and Hinds and Meridian and stuff. I just it was kind of actually right when I said it, just kind of threw me back to a really, really good time of life, man. When I was there in Mississippi, that was a fun time.
Yeah, Mississippi's been good to a lot of athletes. Been good to me, and just happy to be here and thankful for the opportunity to speak with you.
That's it. All right. Well, I'm excited. Like I said, I love the junior college route, man. I was 1 year in junior college, was the head coach up in Kansas, which, here we have a Mississippi JUCO college, who's not going to like me saying where I think the Kansas Jayhawk conference is the top conference in JUCO. I know there's arguments all the way around, but anyway, I really super loved my time as in the junior college, and then really do love when I get to go back to the junior college national meet. It's just, I don't know, for me, Reginald, you tell me, as a longtime junior college coach here, for me, the reason I love junior college and I love junior college nationals is, I kind of think of it as the land of misfits. And I know that normally sounds like a diss, but I'm a misfit, meaning I needed second chances. I needed help. I needed third chances, fourth chances. And when I go to those meets and go to the JUCO championships, I see these kids who were, grades maybe weren't very good for them. Their times weren't that great out of high school. They needed someone to believe in them. And junior college coaches stood up and believed in them. And then you look at the results and it's phenomenal. I don't know. How have you thought about junior college coaching from your side?
You get a kid that sometimes grades, as you state, is the problem. And they can't actually focus on grades. They can't focus on the track, and they can't separate from the family or the friends that's out there. And you get them and you try to say, okay, let's try to have a little success in the classroom first. So if we have a little success in the classroom, then we're going to have big success on the track. And you got to get them to trust you. You got to get them to trust you first so that they can have success in the classroom. If they don't trust you, man, you're in trouble. I mean, I've had kids from some rough parts of not Mississippi, but from Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida. And I mean, it's the point of trusting you that you got to earn that trust with them first. And then you start to see them be successful. And just a little success helps them. I started coaching women's probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And I always coached men 7 or 8 years ago. And my first time coaching women's, I had to get them to trust me. And we had a girl, she ran about 112 in the 400. And we were like, man, we're not going to even bring her back. I was like, well, who are we going to put out there? We got to put somebody out there. And this young lady came back and actually ran 55 seconds in the 4, but she trusted. I mean, the success from 112 to when she ran a minute flat, I was like, oh my gosh. She was like, thank you. I'm running good. I'm like, a minute flat. You're probably at below average, but she was happy with that. Right. And you told her to go kick the wall 10 times and make her faster. She would do it because she trusted you, and till this day, you still get phone calls from them and they're like, hey, coach, what's up? Coach, what's up? And this and that. And I need your advice on something. They trust you. And so they be successful in life. That's the key to it. Everybody's not going to be a pro.
Yeah. I love that. I'd echo that. And, my experience was they needed someone to believe in them. I had kids who, were superstars, world beaters, the #2 pole vaulter in the country I had one year. And I remember, and this is a very common story. He told me, he's like, yeah, everybody believed in me in my event. No one believed in me in my academics. They all told me I was a loser because of my grades, but I was a superstar on the track. And, they just needed, to your point about just getting just a small victory, just getting there and getting a 2.5 GPA, moving that to a 2.8 to a 3.0. They just needed someone to believe in them. And I think that's really the role of coaches in general, but, again, junior college coaches even more so. Well, let's fall back here a little bit. Let's learn more about you and your amazing journey in this great profession. Why don't we start with, Reginald, where does track start? I stopped assuming, actually. I was always used to say, I assume you're a track athlete, but we've had plenty of coaches who weren't track athletes. Where does track start for you?
So it's a crazy story. We were actually juniors in high school, and it was like 5 of us, and we were always friends. And I mean, we still text now. And we started this barbecue group. I think it was like our junior year, we were barbecue. And our high school coach, the high school track coach came by. And he said, "What are y'all doing?" And we was like, "We're barbecuing this and that." And he's like, "Y'all just up here drinking." I was like, "No, we don't drink. We're just up here barbecuing." And he's like, "Well, I want y'all to come help me set up for this track meet tomorrow." None of us ran track. We either was basketball, football, we just hung out. And he said, "I want y'all to come set up for." So we came and set up for him. And we helped him out throughout the year. He said, "Well, I want y'all to travel with, help us be a manager, help us do this and that." So we did it. And our senior year, it was 2 of us that stayed and made it through the journey. And he got sick at the state championship meet. He got sick with the flu. So they put him in a car and they took the team on the bus, and we had a chaperone on the bus. Didn't have assistant coach. He gave us the plan of what needed to be done, every race, who was there, what they needed to do, time, and it was like 7 girls. And so we knew this guy had to do the field, this one had to do the track, this one had to do the relays, and we were just working it through. And we won a state championship. Had some little kids.
Wow.
And he was there. And so I got that and came to Hinds. And when I got to
hold
Hinds,
on. Don't get to Hinds just yet. So I want to set the scene. First of all, are we in Mississippi? Are you from Mississippi?
Mississippi.
Yeah. Okay. 2. So what I make sure I heard this right. So you weren't an athlete. You were a manager?
Yes. So I played basketball.
Yeah.
And then we went out to track. We just was hanging out, and the track coach came by. He always came by and messed with us. And he never had nobody that was the manager to help him. Nobody. And he asked us to come help him. So we did. And we fell in love with the sport.
This is a new one. I talk about, I stopped assuming how people get into the sport and then into coaching. No one has been asked to be a manager first and then has gone on to be a coach of your stature. That's amazing. I love that. Okay. All right. Now, and you win a state title, which that's awesome. I love that.
The high school state championship was crazy because, well, it was, I mean, he couldn't have been there. We didn't even have to do anything, but hey, you got to run this race. You got to be here at this time. The relay set up this way, you do it. And we had a little paper and we just did what he said. And I was like, man, we're pretty good. We won,
This might be the best high school experience to be a future track coach, by the way, instead of being the athlete. I love that.
You mess up, but we did. So.
Okay. I love that. Your senior year ends with helping win a state title. I love that.
Senior year ends and go off to school.
What are you thinking as you're thinking about school? We know you go to Hinds. You mentioned that. What are you thinking professionally? Are you thinking of becoming a teacher, a business owner? What are you thinking professionally?
The key was athletic training, and did not want to do it. I wanted to do it, but man, it was a lot of classwork you had to do, and I was one of them that was stubborn and didn't want to listen at first, and had to go and some stumbles in life, and had to get myself adjusted. And takes one of my, I'm gonna mention it now, one of my mentors and guys I look up to, Gene Murphy. He was the head football coach here, an athletic director, and then the head track coach was Tony Hughes. And they helped me, hey, you need to really take your education and do what you need to do with it. And I finally, the light bulb clicked. And Coach Hughes was like, hey, maybe the athletic training is not it. Maybe you ought to look into the track coach. You ought to be a student assistant, help us out here, help us out there. So I thought about it and I tried it. And it wasn't bad. And helped him out, watched, and I mean watched a lot. Never opened my mouth. I always watched, always made notes. And I was like, maybe this is something I want to do. Kept going. Went to school at Jackson State. Came back at Hinds and worked part-time while I was in school. And so Coach Murphy, the head football coach, was like, hey, we might have a job for you part-time doing football, helping out with track, this and that. So I got it, took it. Came part-time, still in school, working at a shoe store and doing that, and was helping out a little bit with track. Just a little bit now. Didn't have no ins and out of it. And Coach Hughes would take me in his office and we talk about junior college. That's back when they had Meridian, Holmes, Jones.
Oh, right.
Mississippi, all of them had, and they had a state championship, and we would put on his board and kind of count points of how we could win. And we got it all the way down to the T, how we could win the state championship. And we won it by 1 or 2 points. And he said, this is what we have to do. And I was like, yes, sir, coach. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he was still the coach. He had an assistant, had everything. And I was just there helping. And Coach Hughes said, we got to win it. Okay, coach. We go to the meet. And as I said, I'm just a part-time worker. But I know we can win it by that 1 or 2 points. And I think a shot putter didn't get a throw. He scratched. And he wanted to go back and get this throw. So I don't know what the rules were. I told you I was part-time. The guy went back and let everybody throw again. And we lost.
Oh.
Lost by 1 point.
What?
Because if he would have stayed where he was, he didn't get all his throws. He scratched one or something. I can't remember the whole story,
Right.
but he made a deal with the judge that everybody could throw one more time. And when they did it, we lost. We lost by 1 point. And Coach Hughes was like, why did he do that? Why did he do that? I was like, Coach, I don't know. I don't know nothing. All I do is hold your little clipboard and follow you around, But the next year, he started showing me workouts. And there again, I just listened. I never said a word. And I just listened. So I graduated looking for a job. And they had a junior college. They have you can come and work part-time in a junior college and try to be like, you live in the dorm, watch the athletes, do this and that. And they don't pay you much money, $7,000 or $8,000. And you try to get in, you just try to get your foot in the door. So I took it. And it probably was the best move I ever made in my life. I took it. And I think I did that for like 2 years. I helped out with football, did a little track. And in 1999, I was taking the football team, or some of the football team, to an all-star practice. And something happened between the AD and the track coach. Coach Hughes had stepped down and named someone the track coach, and something happened. And so on the way back, they said, we don't have a track coach. I said, oh, okay. I just went about my business. They said, well, this is what we'll do. And I think it's in a story that I got. And they said, how about you do it? I said, do what? And they said, oh, we're going to help you. You're going to do a good job. We're going to handle the budget. We're going to handle everything for you. All you got to do is just go out there and work. Coach Hughes is still going to help you. But we just need, he's a defensive coordinator now at a junior college, and he just can't be the defense coordinator and track coach.
Right.
I'm going, And they was like, go ahead, try it. So I tried it. And I did it. And I was like, I don't know about this, man. You had to come up with workouts. He would give me some. And I was like, man, you had to deal with money. You had to deal with bus scheduling. And I was like, but the thing was, I got it in January. So the schedule was set. The buses were set. The budget was set. All I had to do was just go out there and tell him, hey, you're going to run this 350 because he said it's supposed to be at this time. And I was just doing what he said. And so that was 2000. And I think in 2001, I really wanted to do it. And I wanted to really, 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 really get serious about it. And so I started talking to some people. Greg Stringer was a guy that I talked to.
Oh, yeah.
And Wayne Williams was a guy that I talked to.
Of course.
And Phil Butch R was a guy that I talked to. And, man, I talked to the old guy, the guy that was our high school coach, Leon McGee. I talked to him. And they started giving me stuff, started telling me workouts. I really started learning from them. And they started mentoring me. And I was like, okay, let's see what happens. So we got decent. We started getting decent. And probably about 2004, in junior college, it's add some football players to your roster and you're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I went away from that. And I don't know if it was good or bad. I went away from it and I got some track athletes. And we started becoming better. And so I was like, let's see if we can make this really happen. So I really started digging deep into it. And one of my dear best friends, he came to Hinds in 1997 and he left Hinds and he went to Memphis, graduated from Memphis. His name's Chris Simmons. He's passed now. He was deceased last year. And he went to the University of Arkansas. And at the University of Arkansas, he met Lance Brawman. And so Chris and I was real tight. And we had a kid, you know Trail Kimmons.
Very well.
Okay. So Lance was recruiting Trail. But Chris and I was real tight. And Lance didn't know it till I called Chris one day, or Chris called me. And we were just talking about it. And Lance was like, what? He was like, yeah, he's like my brother. Mm-hmm. And so we went to the meet in Arkansas, and Trail went, Kedrick Givens and all those guys. And so then Lance started talking to me and he started telling me some stuff. And I really started to really feel that, okay, forget the football situation. Let's go all in with track. And so I got Trail Kimmons, I got Kedrick Gibbons, I got Al Winsley. I got that group. And I think we finished 4th in the nation in 2006 with like 8 people. And I was like, hey, man, we're pretty good. And we're doing it with Mississippi kids. And I'm like, we're pretty good. And so then the love for the sport really hit me when I started seeing the difference in Trail. Trail went pro out of Hinds. And so I was like, look, it's time for you to get you a coach. He was like, Coach, I ran fast with you. Why am I going to go get a coach? He's like, we just need to tweak some stuff. So then that's when I sat down with Lance and we talked and, did some stuff. And I sat down with Coach Shavers had just got down there. Sat down with Boo, got some weight room stuff, went off and did some USATF stuff, and, man, really grew in the sport. I mean, from basically a guy that could manage your team, I could get you I could get you scheduled, I could get your meals, I could get everything lined up, and then learn about the coaching part of it. Right. And it really, really, now, I had a kid a couple of years ago to tell me he transferred here, and I said, why did you transfer? And he said, Coach, I watch y'all at Junior College Nationals, and your team is organized. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, it's organized. He said, some of these teams are wild and chaotic. He said, but you have a schedule for everything. He said, I could tell the lunch. I could tell the dinner. I could tell when you came on the bus. I could tell how y'all was dressed. And I think that came back from the high school part. We were managers, so we had to take care of the clothes and the food and all of that. And then when we got to the junior college, hey, we were just watching behind the scenes. And then now when you're running your program, the first thing I want to make sure, even now on my board, the bus, the meals, this and that, already set for the season. And that's just the way that it happened. And so the success started coming maybe in 2005, 2006, and we started getting better athletes. And I mean, it really started growing. And I had to manage the time of coaching trail and dealing with the college athletes. That was real challenging, but it went well. And that's the first 6 years of coaching, and it's 24 now, but that's the first 6.
Yeah, it sounds like, Reginald, and again, this is why I just love doing this podcast and the style that we do here. Because again, we talk about like what's the path to become a coach or a path to become a college coach, and there is no path. There is many ways to go there. You sound like the most reluctant track coach your first part of your career.
Yeah.
I mean, football and working towards the to education and, the manager style of it. It's also interesting to me how a lot of people get into coaching because of the workouts. And then they learn that, oh, coaching really is also scheduling and budgeting and buses and things like that. You did the exact opposite 180. You came at it from the managerial side, the operational side.
If I could coach, that's the easy thing. That's the easy thing. Going to practice is let me say this. I changed it about 5 years ago. I'm never going to go to practice. I'm going to go to training because we're not going to practice anymore. You should know what you're doing. So I'm going to go to training. Going to training is the easiest thing. It's the day-to-day operations that really make everything easy. You want to make it easy for the athlete. You want to make classes easy. When they get here, the classes are lined up. The residence halls are lined up. Their meal tickets are lined up. Their IDs are lined up. Their uniforms are lined up. Everything to the T, is lined up for them so that, hey, all they got to do is go to class and go to training. Right. And I think that as you say, the route that I took to be there makes it easier because if it was more of just go straight to coaching, I wouldn't have done it. I probably wouldn't have done it at all. That's just the point.
What you mentioned there that at one point it was like, it almost felt like it was like a light switch that turned on of like, oh, okay, now the coaching side. And you had some amazing people to talk to. You mentioned Lance, good friend, Dennis, he taught my level too. A couple of other coaches. What, a lot of times we talk about that switch on the other side where coaches realize like, oh, it's not just being on the track and telling workouts. Like I actually have to run a business here as a head coach. Again, the budgeting and scheduling and uniforms and equipment and things like that. You are describing kind of an opposite where it was like, oh, okay, let me start learning and really digging into the coaching side of it. What do you remember what happened, how that actually flipped?
So my first year, or even my second year, I can't really remember. I had Warwick Dunn's 2 brothers.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
So I had Bryson Smothers was here, and then Travis transferred to Jones up here with us. And we went to Junior College National when it was in Odessa. Mm-hmm. And they were good. They were good athletes. They were fit, but the technical part of it was just not there. And I could get them fit, but the technique was just not there. And I think Tyson Gay was running at Barton, and I think Bryson ran the 4 and the 1 that day. And that was a crazy double, but that's what he wanted. And I was like, okay, man, this ain't but my first or second year. I really don't know it. I got to figure it out. And so, because in the past, Hinds had a lot of good football players, and they had 1 or 2 track kids, and they had a great team. And so I was trying to change that. And when I got Bryson and I got Travis, and Warwick was at the meet, and he said, man, Coach, you're doing a great job for just your first or second year. And I was like, thank you. And I got a kid that went to Alabama, ran for Harvey Glance, Lemuel Claiborne. Oh, yeah. And he ran the 400. And he came back. That was his first year was the year I coached. He came back as a sophomore. And I really wanted that kid to be good. And so we worked at it. And that's when I really got serious about it because he ran back when 48.4 was fast. Yeah. 48.4 was fast. And he was like, Coach, if I can just run 47, I will get a scholarship. And so I had to figure out how to get this kid to run 47. And so when he ran 47.80 something, the biggest smile on his face, and then Harvey glanced and gave him a scholarship. I was like, maybe we need to change something. Maybe we need to really go all into this. And then when trail came, you're getting a caliber athlete like him that you really got to know what you're doing or he ain't coming. And then you get a guy like Kedrick Gibbons and Al Winsley, and you really got to go into it. And I really start studying. Some people go to the warm-up and, okay, every kid knows how to warm up. I go to warm up and start watching everybody else. And I start trying to see, what are they doing? What is this? Why are they doing this? Why do they do that? Why do you do this? And then when the coaches start telling you why, you write it down. Because it's even today, after 24 years of coaching, I said, why do y'all do that? And I write it down. Well, coach, you should know this. No, I shouldn't. I'm learning every day. I learned something new last year. And I was like, it's going to make me a better coach, you know? And Tabari got on there and told me something one day. He's like, nah, coach, you got to do it this way. And I was like, all right, got you. No problem. And I ain't one of them with no ego. Tabari said, but you doing it right. You just got to be the one to do it. I was like, all right, no problem. And I took it that way. But most coaches don't. They got egos. Right. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I think that the learning curve from the manager all the way up helped me become the person I am, because it's all not about, as you say, the X's and it's not all about coaching. Right. You got to have the program in line so that the kid fits. You know,
sounds like you might be kind of a natural, you know, from the jump born curious person.
Yeah. I always want to learn. I mean, if I see somebody doing something, I want to know why. And I want to know, does it work? Does it not work? And I'm not going to try it, because I might take some of Lance. I might take some of Dennis. I might take some of Greg. I might take some of me. I might take some of Todd. I might take some of Brian O'Neill. And I might put them all into one. And that's it. I mean, earlier today, Tyson Gay and Aaron Armstrong, we were on a phone call talking track for about an hour and a half. And we were all talking about different things. And why do you think this? Why do you think that? Why do you think this? And I'm going, y'all are fast guys. I need to sit and listen to y'all, because y'all have done it before. And the first thing they said, well, what do you think? I'm like, what do y'all think? Tell me what you think, you know? And it just makes sense, you know, and it helps the young kids from Mississippi, from Arkansas, from Tennessee that are raw. You bring them along slowly. They have some success. They buy in. They trust you. And they end up being successful at the end. A lot of people want to get the fast people, get them in shape, and keep them fast. But is that really coaching? Because some people, I've had 11-3 and 11-1 and got them to a 10-3, a guy. And you had the most success. And I promise you, that kid right now would probably come and move every bit of furniture I need if I asked him. Because he had success.
Right.
You know, and I know that you get the 10-5s and the 10-5s run 10-2. But you get the 11 flat and get him to run 10-2, it's a different kind of feeling. You really coach that kid, you know? So
how do you, as you started, you came from a very, it just is just so unique to me. I'm actually kind of a little bit speechless here. You coming from the operational side. That's the part that, you know, we've heard this 99 times out of 100 on this podcast that there's struggle with, because it's like, oh man, I really just love being out in the sand pit. I love being at the blocks. I love going over the hurdles. And it's like, oh gosh, I got a schedule and all those things. You came from that and then really jumped in deep into the coaching side of it. How has that, and you mentioned it a little bit with some of the phone calls you've had, how has that, I'll say, transformed your program as you've gotten to Trell and some of these other guys? How has that continued up until today? How's that helped as
an older guy told me this past season? He's probably coached 40-something years. He said, Coach, I've watched your program over years, and your junior college program, but you run it like a Division I program. And I was like, tell me what you mean. He's like, Coach, I've watched your day-to-day operations from your breakfast check all the way to your curfew. It has to be done. And you tell them that that's the process you have to follow in order to be successful. It's not the track. It's the process off the track in order to be successful. A lot of people think the process is the track. It's not. The track is the easy part. It's the breakfast check, because that's just like the call room. If they tell you to be there third and final call and you're not there, you're not going to race. So if breakfast checks in at 7:45, you're not going to race. If you're not going to go to class, you're not going to be eligible to run. So you're no good to me and you're no good to yourself. Because at the end of the day, your legs are going to stop. You're not going to be able to jump. You're not going to be able to run. You're not going to be able to throw the rest of your life. So you got to get something out of that. The weight room, 90% of these kids don't like it in high school because they don't lift. But when you get them to buy in now you got it. So you got breakfast check, you got classroom, you got weight room, you got training room. And the number one killer, it's curfew. And it turns my hair gray, but you do all of those. And as I tell them every year, if you do everything I ask and you're not successful, I'll take the blame for it. And I will. Because I promise you, we're going to get on the bus and we're going to travel. You will have a meal. You will have a top-notch uniform. You will have the best training gear. Your hotel room will be set up. Everything will be in line. Because I'm not going to put that on an assistant coach to do it. Because if he messes up, then I have to go back and redo it. So just let me do it myself, and it's done the right way and how I want it, and it's easy. It's real easy. You know when your meets are, just schedule ahead of time. And I think that's what helps me. I can get that done, and I can take that same process to the track. The same process of training the kid, the same process of making him do the blocks right, the same process of doing the wicket right, the same process of doing repeats, the same thing, because it's structured. It's a structured program. And a lot of people, they don't like structure. Kids don't like structure, but they want discipline. Right. They don't like structure, but they want discipline. It's a difference. And so if you got structure, some of them are going to bail from it. But if you got discipline and structure and they feel the success, it's over with. I mean, you're going to run fast. And then I got into the workouts with different coaches, and I started learning even Matt Cain. And then we started being competitive. And man, I really got into it, and I really started. And Lance shared some of his stuff with me. And that's when it really took off. You're talking about 2004, it really took off. Right. That's 20 years ago. It really started rolling. And I was really knee deep into it. I was a young guy, and I was really knee deep into it. And for like 8 to 9 years, it was just rolling. It was really above it. And I really felt like, okay, I'm really into this track. Let's roll with it. And I took it to some heights that the program had never been to. True. And with different things that other schools think that, well, Hinds has this, but hey, we just do what we do with what we got. And that's the key to it. The kids believe into you, the program's organized, the structure's there, and just roll with it.
I love how you said, kids want discipline. They don't necessarily want structure, because I believed in that as well. They'll never tell you they want discipline, but they do crave discipline. I agree with it. And I think deep down they crave structure as well, because that helps with trust and belief and things like that. So what makes me curious then about that is, so where does that come from for you? Where did you grow up in a family structure that was very structured, or you had to learn it and glam onto it in some point?
So my grandpa on Saturday mornings would crank the mower by my bedroom window, and it was tied with something. I don't know what it was, and you needed to get up and get out there before it went off.
I'm sorry, I'm not crank the mower.
The mower, like a lawnmower.
Like the mower. Got it. Yeah. Okay, got it.
He would crank it, pull the cord.
Yep.
And he would tie the little handle down with something. And you needed to get out there and start mowing before it stopped, because you were going to be in trouble if not.
Right.
So I had to get up and do that. We were told, this is where you're going to be at this time. Like, okay, we're leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning. You need to be ready. And we had to be ready, or we're going to go on this trip and this is what you need. So you had to be ready. And I think more of the structure came as I always need to be on time. And a lot of my assistants or in the past have always said, Coach, we get there 30 minutes early. Why? And I'm like, you don't understand. What if the bus breaks down?
Right.
What if you have this? What if this kid oversleeps? We're not going to be late, but we're going to be a few minutes early. You know, we might be 10 minutes from the track, and we're not supposed to be there at 8. We might get there at 7:15. Why were you there this early? Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. So it's very hard, in my opinion, to be a high school coach. And what I mean by that is coaching kids for, maximum of 4 years and helping them go on to the next level. I think that's hard, getting your kids to the next level. 4-year school, college, that is also hard. Always recruiting kids to your program. Junior college coaches have the double dip. You are always recruiting kids to your program, and at the exact same time, you are always trying to get your kids recruited off to the next school, the next 4-year school. How have you navigated that double toil and trouble there of always recruiting and always helping kids get recruited?
So I could say this with the assistant that I had in Willie Calvin. He would handle not so much in charge of the recruiting of the kids being recruited, but like if the coaches were to come and they wanted to see the kids and all of that, he would handle that. That's fine. I ain't into all that drama and all that stuff. Let them be recruited, see the coaches, this and that. He would handle that so that I could stay focused on bringing the kids in and getting the workouts ready. That's the key to it. It was always, okay, what time are they coming? When they're coming? I need to see them at this time. Okay, move on. And make sure he handled that part. If it was some that wanted to just see me, then I would fix it into my schedule where I just saw them and we went from there. But you bringing them in, you bring them out the same time. You're bringing one in and another, you're losing 5. And, you get upside down sometimes with numbers, and sometimes you get too many freshmen, and that hurts you. But it helps you in the long run because you're really, really successful at the end. So it's hard, but you have to go back to the front part of what you said. The beginning of my coaching career with the manager, with the structure that I had, the like the operations and all of that, as long as I keep it structured, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I just want to go like at 1:30, I just want to go to the track. So I know from 7:30 until 1:20, I got to keep the program running, because at 1:20 the program stops and we go to training. That's the easy part.
I love that. I kind of go back to my experience with Neosho, and I was basically the only coach. So I always think about doing both. I like that structure you have there of, okay, you focus on the incoming, the high school seniors and maybe transfers. And then an assistant helps with because not only do you have the kids, but like to your point, you've got all these 4-year your coaches coming that want to see the kids and talk to you about the kids and who you got coming up and things like that. Both are extremely time consuming and important. I've never thought about that, divvying up those responsibilities like you described.
Yeah, I hate bothering a high school coach at a meet about a kid. The same way I think that most junior college coaches don't like being bothered at their meet.
All right.
Because I can tell you this, in 2018 or somewhere, we had like 7 or 8 kids that were competing at the D1 Nationals over in Birmingham indoor, and I went to the meet. And I was like a kid in a candy store. And I sat there outside, and Curtis Fry was there, Robert Johnson, and all those guys were out there. And I wasn't bothering them guys. I was there to watch the meet. And it's like, well, what you looking for? You know what? Man, I'm looking at the meet. I'm not recruiting no kid. I don't want to hear nothing about a kid.
Right.
Well, we got this for you. We can talk after the meet, But I just didn't want to bother people. And sometimes, at our meets, I hate to say it this way, I would stay away. You might not see me at the meet. I might be with the kids in the warm-up area. I might be with them all the way, walk them to the track, just so I didn't have to deal with that one coach. Hey, man, can we talk to you about this kid? I'm like, dude, trying to watch my kid, but
Right.
you want to get your kids out there, but you also got to watch them to make sure they're successful and they're doing what they're supposed to. Because I always tell the kids, look, we're at the meet to do our job. Your family's at the meet. I understand that. You have some kids that are from Iowa or somewhere down here, and they come to see them run. Look, let's get this meet over with. Once your last race, I'll dismiss you to go with your family for 45, 50 minutes. But I can't dismiss myself to go hang out and shoot the bull with a coach and laugh and talk while the meet's going on. It's not fair. My wife comes to some meets and you don't talk to your wife, this and that. She knows. She knows exactly what to do. Unless I call her and say, hey, I need you here.
Right.
She's there. But if I don't need her, she knows she's going to sit up in the stands until it's over with. And she's going to say, what do you want to do? I'll speak, whatever, blah, blah, this and that. We go on, but she knows. And that's the same thing with the kids. I'm going to keep myself structured just like them. And it makes it easier because kids are what they see, they follow.
Mm-hmm.
And if they see you doing right, then they're going to do right. If they see you not doing right, they're sure not going to do right now. They're not going to do it.
Now, I know you didn't focus on the outbound kids, the sophomores, but you certainly, as the head of the program, what's going on and who's visiting, things like that.
On some of them sometimes,
How do you've been in the game for such a long time. These kids, if they're smart, and they certainly are, ask you for advice. Hey, coach, what do you think about this school or this coach, that coach? How do you keep a unbiased opinion about coaches? You have your opinion about people and I'm not talking about naming specific people here, but one kid comes up to you and says, oh man, coach, I love Dennis Shaver and Pat Henry. And you're like, yeah, man, that's not your level. I know you love those guys, but you'll have much more success, D2 or NAIA or whatnot. How do you handle that side of it?
So I would talk with the kids, and they always come by and say, what do you think? What is this or that? Willie would just handle the day-to-day if a coach came and stuff like that. And I would sit down and tell them what I thought was best for them or where I saw them fit or where they could be successful. I'm not going to sit there and pick this coach over that kid. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to play that with the kids. I'm just going to say, okay, this is where I think you should be successful. Now, if you want to go there, that's on you. But I think you should go here and you should be successful. I have never pushed a kid, and a good friend of mine now, and I mean, he helps us a lot, Mark Elliott up at Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a long talk and a great talk because the word was that I was sending kids to LSU, but I wasn't. They would drive up here to see the kids, and the other ones would call to see the kids. And so when they drive up, it's a difference. But if Dennis scratched my back with a 400-meter runner, then I would say, hey, man, this might not be a bad place for you. And, when he tells 5 or 6, check out Hinds, and I tell 3 or 4 of mine, hey, check out LSU or Florida State would say it, or Tennessee or Auburn, or, and that's just the point of the relationships of who you trust. It goes back to it. Who do I trust? Mm-hmm. And if I didn't trust them, I just didn't think they were a good fit because, everybody can't handle a junior college kid.
That's right.
And you got to know the difference. They're not bad kids. They just need to be treated differently.
Yep.
They just need to be treated different. Mm-hmm. They come from a different background. Some of them go to junior college just because they have grades. They just don't have the fast time. Mm-hmm. And they need that little motivation. And they can't handle the big programs. They might can't handle the Oregon, or they might can handle the San Diego State, but they might can go handle Iowa. They might can handle Michigan State. They might can handle Tennessee. But you got to see who's going to be coaching them and what do you think. Has that coach had success in the past with junior college athletes? If he hasn't, hey, look, I'm just telling you and your mom that I think you don't need to go here. Mm-hmm. Now, you can go tell them that Coach Dillon said it. And I know I'm going to get some slack behind it. But that's just how I feel. And I've done that before because I just didn't think the kid needed to go there. And the coach come back and told me I was wrong. I was like, no, no, no. I know that kid. And then 5 months later, can I transfer?
All right.
And I was like, hey, man, I just tried to tell you, I knew how you were here. I knew what type of athlete you were. I knew what you needed. And I knew that you would be successful in this type of program.
Now, we're talking about some well-established coaches, Mark, I mean, come on, he's amazing. Of course, we talked about Dennis and some of these other guys. What advice would you give? Right now there's I'm gonna call it a newish coach out there. He or she's 28, 29, 30 years old. They look at your program and they see kids like, man, these kids, I think, time-wise would fit into my program, but I need to get to know them better. But I don't know Coach Dillon. We've never had a Hinds kid. What's your recommendation for that first initial contact? I'm not talking about network. Like this is not about like, oh, well, you better go kiss the ring of Coach Dillon. Should they even contact you? Gosh, you've been around forever. You have a lot. Your Rolodex is huge. If you don't know Coach Dillon at this point, you ain't never. Or is there still opportunity for people to understand the program and the coaching staff to maybe one day be successful with a junior college kid from Hinds?
Our doors are open always. I would love to see us have a kid at every single university there is. I mean, from Hampton to Virginia Tech to Rutgers. We had kids at Rutgers. We have kids at Southern Miss. We've had kids everywhere. It's an open door policy. I don't have any favorites. It's just that some people say, well, he's not going to send them there because he thinks they're S. No, it's not. That kid comes in here and that kid tells me when we're recruiting, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I heard Mouse say this the other day on an interview. He said when they had to meet down there, and they was talking about the greatness of how he gets Olympians and that. He said, well, when I go sit in the home, I will tell the kid, hey, I see you in the Olympics, or hey, I see you being a national champion, or I see you being a great college athlete. He doesn't tell everybody the same thing.
Right.
He tells them what he really thinks about them. And so just come down here. I will tell you, hey, the door is open. I want the relationship with Multnomah. I want the relationship with Oregon State. I want the relationship with anybody. Paradise. It doesn't matter who you are. I want the relation. Oklahoma. I want the relationship with you, because at the end of the day, I want these kids to get out there and go. I don't want them to just go to one school, go to 3 schools, go to those schools. I want you to go everywhere. It's like we had a kid to go to South Alabama. We had the kid to go to Northern Alabama. We had a kid to go to Hampton. And they loved it. They graduated. They're doing great. They're not the same ones that could go to Clemson. We had 2 kids to go to Pittsburgh State. One of them was a national champion. One of them was a runner-up, All-American, everything. And I'm sitting there going, if you would have went Division I, you probably wouldn't have that success, because you would be number 5. Whereas Division II, you're number 1 or 2. And you got success. And look at you now. Your times are almost like Division I times. You ran 11.3. You ran 20.1. You ran 11.3 in Division II. Look at it. You would have made the finals of Division I. Now you come back this year. Don't play with that portal stuff. Just go back, trust yourself, and that 11.3 is going to go to 11.1. And then you have a chance to be successful, outside of track, but it's an open door policy. The thing that I hate is that some of these young coaches are trying to be slick with you, and they try to take your athletes instead of just come and say, hey, coach, let's just form a relationship. Let's just form a relationship and work together. That's all it is. I don't care who you are. Just like Mark told me, he's like, look, Reggie, I'm going to give you an opportunity. This was like 10 years ago. I'm going to give you one kid. As long as I get that kid back, I'll start to trust you. Mark has put about 15 in here, and he's got every one of them back that he wanted. And I told him, I said, Mark, I don't think nobody's going to double cross me now. You know, if the kid doesn't want to go back to you, I'm going to make that kid get on the phone and call you. But every one of them, from every hurdler, every sprinter, everyone he sent has went back to him, you know. And people are like, well, man, it sure has been good to you. But I've also been good to Mark because I kept my word up,
Right.
You know.
On the day that we're recording this, not necessarily maybe the day that you're listening to this, but the day that I recorded this, I actually just published an article on Twitter and LinkedIn where I asked high school coaches about what advice would you give college coaches in regards to recruiting their athletes. And the number one resounding advice was talk to the coach. Don't just recruit the athlete, talk to the coach. And I heard you just say the same thing. I just thought that was kind of interesting there. And for some reason, I would have thought, again, it's based on my experience of, I had just 1 year of junior college coaching, but I would thought that the percentage would have been closer to 100 of 4 years coaches talking to the junior college coach, where it sounds like on the high school level, it feels like it's like 10% or something. You're experiencing kind of the same thing?
Same thing, man. I mean, you get some kids that, hey, I've been talking to this coach, and I'm like, huh? Yeah. Well, coach, we gonna offer him a scholarship. Okay, so have you talked to his mom? No, he said he's good with it. No. He doesn't have that type of. He can't pay $2,000, man. He can't pay that. He can't afford that. I got to understand what that kid can do. You don't know that. You don't know his background. I know his background. I know what mom makes. I know what daddy makes. We can't do that. You're gonna have to help the kid out. And well, coach, we already offered him scholarship and this and that, and he's ready to come on the visit. And the kid will come and say, well, coach, they offered scholarship. I'm gonna go on a visit. I said, well, go on a visit. And let's talk about it. Come back and let's talk about it. And then when I actually tell the kid that I'm not pushing the school away, every kid I've coached, at the end of the day, Mike, they're still my kid. I don't care. 24 years from now, you're still my kid. I called one right before I came over here and was telling him, I said, you hadn't came and seen me this week. And he's like, coach, my brother came up there to see you. I said, but you were supposed to come cut my grass and you didn't. And he said, well, I'm coming next week to cut your grass. I said, okay. And his mom was on the phone. She was messing with me. I said, I don't want to hear that. I said, he's supposed to come cut my grass. And I care about him after track and field. I care 24 years. I still, Trail Kim still calls and tells me what I did wrong with him in 2005. And it burns me up every day. He come down to the house 2 or 3 weeks ago and sat down and told my wife the same story again. He brought it right back up. And she said, why do you do that to him every time? He's like, so I can just get underneath his skin. And that's almost 20 years ago I coached a kid, but the relationship is still there.
Love it.
Horatio Williams, the relationship is still there. The girls that I coach, one of them is starting a family. She got pregnant, had some kids and stuff like that. And I was telling her, hey, if you need something, holler at us. I want to see you. I want to see the kids and stuff like that. And it's just a relationship that helps them. That's why I think that even the one that went to University of Huntsville, why did you send her to Huntsville? She should have went here. No, University of Huntsville had a program that would take care of her little son. They had a daycare program.
Wow.
She didn't have to pay for it. The coach had it set up.
Huge.
So it was better for her to go to Huntsville instead of her going to Mississippi College. Well, Mississippi College, right? She needed to get away from her family. She needed to grow. She went, she ran, she graduated. She's working now. She's doing well for herself. If she would have went at Mississippi College, she'd have been close to her family. I don't know if she would have made it. And that's why I say a lot of coaches, it's the communication of saying, coach, tell me about that kid. Because I'm going to ask when I go recruiting, I want to talk to your high school coach. I want to talk to your mama, your daddy, your grandma, your uncle, whoever the key to the door is. I want to know who it is. So that when stuff start going bad, who do I talk to? Stuff's going good, who do I talk to? Not just the uncle that's like most Division I football, they got an uncle or something or a runner that, hey, this guy, he's good now, But they don't tell you the bad part,
right.
And I want to know it all. I'm going to tell the coach, hey, look, that kid right there, I can trust him with my wallet in my hand, and I don't worry about it. That one right there, a little rough under the shoulders now. You know, and I get Division I coaches, I get D2 NAIA coaches that call me about kids that left my program after a year and went to another program. Coach, why did he leave you? And I'm like, there was not a reason. He didn't do nothing wrong. She didn't do nothing wrong. They just wanted to leave. Mm-hmm. They wanted another chance. And I just didn't see the fit here. Mm-hmm. Well, would you sign them at my school? I was like, nah, but they need to go to this school. Why? What's the difference? Because you run it this way, he's not going to understand it. Mm-hmm. He needs to go here. And it's nothing against the school. It's just that I understand the kid a little bit different. And I think, Mike, it goes back to the start of it. I always pay attention to stuff more than more people do. I think, as you said, I'm curious. I'm real curious of why. And I want to know exactly what makes you tick, exactly what makes you go. So I'm also going to also fill out, how's your day? I know that, hey, when they come to training, that head's down, it's over with now. We just need to do some drills, and you need to go back to the dorm. Because there's no need of you staying out here because, hey, you're just going to have a bad day. Mm-hmm. You're just going to have a bad day now. So the drills, warm up the drills, and head on to the dorm, and, hey, you had a great day. But if I keep you out there, that's a problem. And it's just like some coaches that backdoored you and talked to the kid, and the kid went. And they call, Coach, man, you didn't tell me that. You didn't ask. You signed them on your own. And John Stewart, Chris Woods, Ken Harden, Greg Stringer, Harry Glantz, all those guys, man, they will talk to you about kids and they will tell you the truth. You just had to talk to them. And that's how I learned it, you know, because when I was coming up coaching, we talked about kids. Hey, Coach, what about this kid? What do you think? What makes him go? And then you everything's honest. But you have people that won't tell you that, and then you have problems. I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, I'm sitting there thinking, you know, with over 20 years of coaching experience and all of that, the majority of that in the junior college, I have to take this advantage to kind of pick your brain on things. You know, I'm sitting there thinking about the junior college ecosystem, and you know, we've lost, you mentioned about Mississippi and how many programs we had there. And I'm thinking about, you know, the Wallace States and Meridians and, you know, other programs that we don't have anymore. It feels like, and maybe it's stopped, maybe it's slowed down. It felt like for a while that junior college track and field was shrinking with the number of programs. As you sit there with 20 plus years, you've seen it from back when it was in 2000, 2004, all the way through today in 2024. What do you see going on in the junior college track and field world?
When I got into it, it was 99% U.S. athletes. Mm-hmm. And as the time has grown, it has changed. It is a lot of internationals. And we're not feeding our Americans through the program. We have a lot of internationals, and we're feeding them through the program. And I think we're leaving some of our American kids out, some of the undeveloped ones, the one that need it. I think we're leaving them out. I think that back when Stan Narinsky was at Wallace State, he did a great job with what he had. When Blaine was at South Plains, he did a great job with what he had. And when they changed the structure of just like college today, the transfer portal, that's the change in college athletics. When they changed the structure in junior college and they went to unlimited internationals, it changed the structure for the U.S. athletes. And so the U.S. athletes kind of get pushed to the side, and you have to recruit the internationals to stay on top of your program, or you're going to be behind. I always want to give the U.S. kids a chance because that's what got me to where I am today, was giving them an opportunity to be successful, to help me grow in the sport. And I also want to give the internationals an opportunity because they come from undeveloped countries. They come from hard times, and they just want to give it their all for you just to breathe, just to have that opportunity to say, thank you, coach, for believing in me. Thank you, coach, for getting me a better life than out of the Caribbeans, for out of, wherever, Spain. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Qatar, it doesn't matter where they come from. They're grateful for it. And a lot of coaches now are not looking at that. They're more on the titles and they're not on the helping the kids. At the end of the day, my cousin told me this when I was dealing with a problem with a kid, and he said, you got to remember now, that's not what you're about. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, you're about taking care of the kids. No matter the wins, the losses, you're about taking care of the kids. And that hit home because I was like, he remembered. He actually remembered that that's the reason why I do it, was to help the kids. But as I told him, but I do want to win. And I have to get the best athlete out there. So I might have to get rid of an athlete to be successful. I'm not getting rid of the athlete just to get rid of the athlete, right, but I'm getting rid of the athlete because the athlete didn't buy all the way in. So I had to go get another athlete. And so that's the change of it. Is I don't think that the NJCA has changed a lot. I think that they changed when they changed the internationals. Mm-hmm. That changed the program. And coaches, the young coaches that are in there now, they just want to win. You don't have, there's some good ones out there that care about those kids, but every one of them's looking for that quick fix to get to D1. And they don't understand that D1 is a business. Mm-hmm. It's a bigger business than what it is. And it'll tear you down. And junior college, back when you were there and Stan and all those guys, it was more about helping those kids be successful and rise throughout the sport. Mm-hmm. Right now it's about running fast and moving on. And you don't see a lot of those kids, sign with schools. I know the guy at Fort Scott does a good job now with his kids. But a lot of those schools that's winning, you don't see those guys. You don't see those kids moving on. You see them moving on to NAIA schools. You see them moving on to but you don't see them moving on to Division I. You don't see them moving on to Power Fives. You see some, one or two might hit there, but you don't see it like you did back in the past. Mm-hmm. You had the Fred Curleys, you had the Vernon Norwoods, you had all of those, you had Tabari, Romero, you had all of those, the girls, everyone, Veronica Campbell, all of them moving throughout the junior college. But now you don't see that because it's a difference. It's a difference that people are not following the process outside of track. They're just following the track process. Mm-hmm. And whatever happens, happens. I think the thing that I use sometimes is that the worst thing they could have done is when they said no child left behind. Mm-hmm. Because everybody pushed those kids through. COVID happened. They pushed those kids through, and those kids didn't get taught nothing. And now they're stuck there. And you got to try to help that kid. Mm-hmm. You got to try to help them. You help them so much to where at the end you say, okay, I did all I can. And you just didn't make it. But I got to help them get there. And I think that's what we got to get back to in junior college, because junior college was there for a kid that didn't have grades, 90% of them, or the kid that didn't have the right times to get into Division I, and he just needed that extra year. And that was it. And I think that's what we got to get back to in order to be successful. But you got people that's coming in, hey, I'm coming for blood. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But what are you going to do for those kids afterwards? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do for them? Because they got to be successful. It is what it is. It's not just about you. It's about those kids. Because without those kids, you're not going to be anything, And that's why I say we got to get back to some of our American kids, because we got to help our own sport grow. We got to help USATF grow. We got to help other sports grow. Other countries grow. But we got to help our own first, and then see what we get to, I might have stepped on some toes with that, but it is what it is.
Speaking of American kids, on the high school level, when you combine boys and girls together, track and field is the most participated sport there is, more than football, basketball, etc. Why do you think, maybe talking about those programs that are no longer around, Bevel State, things like that, I'm always surprised that there's not more junior college track programs out there?
I think that the coaches in that the programs that left, I think the coaches that were there had small success, but they didn't have big success. And the schools wanted big success. They did not want to trust the process. The school didn't want to invest into the long-term process. Our school is one that wants to invest into the long-term process. Coach, you're here to help the kids, but we want to win. We want to be competitive. And it is what it is. So I got to be competitive. I got to do it. You know, if your administration is behind you, that's it. And I think that's what happened with some of those schools. I think that with Bevel, I think that with Holmes, I think that with Jones, I think they got away from it. They got away from it. You know, we could have a real good league here in Mississippi. I'm not saying we could be competitive as Kansas is, but I can tell you this: if you had Hinds, you got Meridian, you got Kahoma, which has got a new coach now, and if you had Jones and Holmes and maybe Gulf Coast or somebody in there, you'd have a competitive league.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't take but about 8 to have a competitive league, and if you got there, hey, it's going to help those kids. It's more opportunities. But you got 3 schools in Mississippi, and you got over 500 seniors. And I can't take everybody. Chip can't take everybody at Meridian. They can't take everybody. You can't take everybody at Belhaven. You just can't do it.
right.
And so in order to be successful, we have got to get back to the process. You got to trust. It's a long term. You know, it's a long term. You know, it's just like in hiring a coach. I might not hire nobody because I might not have the right fit. So I might have to just turn more gray hairs and be stressed out the year till I get who I want.
Right.
You know? And it's because I want to change some things. So
high school coaches, high school programs are an important part of the puzzle for track and field, just like four-year schools are, just like junior colleges are as well. They're part of that puzzle. I'm curious about your take on when we I almost said when we open the newspaper. We don't really do that anymore. When we open the internet and we are talking about, you've mentioned a couple of these things. For Division I, we talk a lot about the portal. We talk about NIL. We talk about transferring. We talk about maybe things that are coming. We think we have a hint now of what's coming with roster caps and scholarships and things like that. How does that affect you as a junior college? Do you have to do anything differently in regards to recruiting or coaching or helping kids get recruiting? You're shaking your head. Yeah, there.
The ACT's gone. The SAT's gone.
Oh,
you just
right.
got to have the core. And now they're taking a kid that's a 48.5 or a 57 girl, and they're saying, okay, we're going to make you go run the 4 hurdles. We're going to give you an opportunity to go run the 4 hurdles, and we're going to give you books and $500. Well, to mom and dad, my kid's getting a Division I scholarship, and they're not looking at the process of it. They're getting a Division I scholarship, but how many times is your kid going to get out there after the conference meet? They might get out there, they might make it to regions. But if they don't, they're going to come back next year and say, let me go get somebody else because you didn't make it in the hurdles. I'm going to go get a 47 kid. And now those kids that are 47.5 or 53.5 that don't have the ACT, that just have the grades, hey, come on and sit a year. You know, or, hey, we're not – in junior college, if they're not signed in December, they're going to have to go Division I AA, Group of 5, Division II. That's just like high school kids. They're not signed in December with track and field. They're going to have to go Division I AA, Group of 5, partial scholarships here and there because of the transfer portal, because of NIL.
So stay on the transfer portal, because here's something I don't understand. And, bear with me. I haven't coached now for getting on 19 years. So we still had transfers when I coached, but we didn't have the transfer portal. But here's what I hear. You know me well enough, Reginald. I'm on Twitter every day. I'm listening, talking to coaches every day. I mean, I'm having these conversations daily with everybody. I'm hearing because of the transfer portal, specifically with the Power Four schools, that it's killing. I mean, I'm no hyperbole. I keep hearing that it's killing high school recruiting because all of these schools are signing from the transfer portal. A kid goes to Southeast Louisiana out of high school, does really well, and then transfers to LSU, and therefore that high school kid from Louisiana is not going to go to LSU because there's no scholarships. So I hear that, and I get that component, but my brain says, okay, well, that means that someone like you, a junior college, should then benefit from that. If my goal is to go to Mississippi State or Alabama out of high school, but I'm either not good enough or they filled up with their transfer portal, then cool, I'll go to Hinds and I'll transfer portal that way. What you're doing is just no different than a transfer portal in regards. It's just transfers at the end of the day. So I would have thought that junior college specifically, but even D2s and group of fives would have benefited from this. But I'm not hearing anybody talking about being benefited from this. Only the Power Four supposedly benefits from this.
Yesterday, when you said that, I went to my phone. So yesterday or the day before, they made a change in scholarship limits.
Football, you're talking about this roster cap thing, right?
Yeah. So football is going to get 105.
Right.
And so I think something with the track is going to be able to, because they're a head count sport or something like that, they're going to get some increases. I think that's going to help the high school kids because now I can sign 5 high school kids. Okay. But I'm still going to go in the transfer portal and get the rest. What that's going to hurt is Ole Miss and Mississippi State are going to sign theirs. But Southern Miss is going to be hurt because their A team is now going to become Mississippi State's backups. Southern Miss is going to have to play with their C team, B team. And it hurts your schools like your 1AAs because now Southeast Louisiana, he's going to be stealing D2 players to come up. They're going to get in the portal. Track and field, you got kids that.
But as those guys move up, doesn't that create a vacuum for more high school kids then?
It does, but what they do is they go to the D2 and get those guys out of the portal.
Okay, now there's room for D2s.
Okay, then the D2 is going to go find a kid that, hey, I'm going to try to get this NAIA kid.
Right.
Now your high school kid, who wants to go to NAIA right out of high school?
Yeah, I think that's the issue right there. I think you're exactly right. I think it's
who wants to go to a junior college out of high school?
Right. Unless I have to. Yeah.
It's just like right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to say I don't care. I got 2 kids out of Division I portal. I mean, real Power 5 kids.
Right.
And they just didn't get what they wanted. They just didn't have success. But I recruited them.
Yeah.
And now they're like, well, Coach, I need to come back. I'm like, okay, come on back. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But that helps them. And I think that, and I pray it doesn't happen because if it does, it's going to kill junior college athletics. They start a transfer portal, it's bad. Right now, they can go where they want to. At the end of the year, you don't sign them at a certain date. They're free to go. But if they start the transfer portal and those kids can leave in the middle of the year, junior college athletics will be hurt. Because, I think that a lot of kids, they don't want to trust that process. They want that instant fix. They want that instant fix. They don't want to trust that process. And, they got to trust it in junior college because you were sent there for a reason. You're in there for a reason. Was it your grades? Was it your ability? Was it a learning disability? Was it something that happened at school? Did you get in trouble or did you have a bad day or did you get sick and didn't finish? They got to trust the process of it. They got to trust it. They got to go through it so that they can be successful. But they want that quick fix. And Division I, they got the quick. I just go get in the transfer portal. I'll just go get in the transfer portal.
Right.
And I'm like, but why are you getting in there? It's just like the 2 kids I got. Why did you get in the well, Coach, I'm just telling you the truth. That was a bad mistake. I went Division I. It wasn't what I wanted. And I was like, okay, you're not fit for it because, hey, you didn't run but 55 out of high school. They're running 49 and 50. So where did you think? You know, you from Alabama and you're running 55. I mean 55. What did you think was going to happen?
Right.
And you went to Florida Gators and you didn't run but 55. You barely made the home meet list.
Right. If that.
Yeah. Miles has got you running 50 points and 51 girls that don't even travel sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I think that's where this gets clogged up is when, you know, the way we think it's all happening, and maybe it is happening this way, but it's not 100%, but maybe the majority is that 1AA, you know, group of 5 kids are, when they get good, air quotes there, they transfer to Power 5s, and then D2s go to group of 5s and yada, yada. So there's still that backflow, but I think that's the issue is we have kids, and I'm not putting this on kids because, again, they're 17, 18-year-old kids, for crying out loud. They don't know what in the world, you know, they're not formed, but they see Saturday, right? Who's playing college football on Saturday? And I think equally, my guesstimation here is family members, their own egos play into it. You know, if I'm talking to little Johnny, if that's my nephew, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm way into going to Hinds," it's like, "Wait a minute, Hinds, bro, you want to go to Mississippi State or Ole Miss?" And it's like, because his own ego, it's like, man, I want to tell my boys that my nephew went to Mississippi State, not Hinds. And I think that messes with kids' futures when it's like, wait, no, Hinds is the right place for you, though, where you are today. And maybe Mississippi State or Ole Miss, whatever, Power 4 is the right for you 2 years, 1 year down the line. I think that's where we're getting tripped up on the opportunities, because I hear that high school kids are getting screwed over, and I have yet to see a high school kid that's really, really good. And you know, Reginald, you're in it, so you might be able to bust me right here and tell me how wrong I am. I've yet to see a good high school kid. Let's say they're qualifiers academically. A good high school kid not get a scholarship at the college level. I've yet to see a 25-foot boy long jumper sitting at home because there was no scholarship at Central Washington or Idaho State or Northwest Missouri. You know what I'm saying? All these kids are still going to school.
They're still going.
Okay. That's where I struggle with how this is the doom and gloom that I'm hearing, you know, from a lot. I think it's different. I think that's what's hurt.
The thing is, it's the doom and gloom from the great ones. You see what I'm saying? I think it's the doom and gloom from the great ones because you're still going to have. That's when I go back to what I told you earlier. So the 25-foot is going to still go to school, but we have to go now in junior college. Even NAIA, even D2, we have to go international.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of the puzzle. That's right.
We got to go international to get them in. And that, I hate to say it, but there were some kids I was recruiting, and they were average. They were 10-4s, 11-5 girls, 11-6, and I was like, you need to go junior college.
For sure.
They went Power 5 SEC, but got a up for 2 years in a row. I text Daddy every year, "Oh, it's gonna be fine, gonna be fine." That year 3, Daddy texted, "What about junior college route?" "Man, you done used up your 2 years."
Came around at the wrong time.
Yeah.
What about these other things? Is NIL affecting you, and maybe not necessarily affecting you like you have NIL, but is it affecting you on the recruiting?
I didn't know that there's a such thing as a, well, I guess it's not an NIL scholarship, but NIL will take care of this kid to come to school. So he doesn't have to sign a scholarship with Alabama State. He can, NIL's going to pay for his school. So you're going to go there and you're not on a scholarship. What if you don't make it? What are you going to do? Instead, you should have came to a junior college, got an opportunity to go there. Well, I ain't going D2. I ain't going 1AA. I'm going big. I want to go there. And I think back to it again, you said it. I think that the kids have this push from the parents or somebody telling them, you got to go D1. You got to go D1. You got to go big time. If you don't go big time, you don't have an opportunity. You just don't have that opportunity. And just a minute ago, I got a text about a young lady that I was at a meet watching them. And I mean, I'm good friends with Dennis and Tamara and Benny and Todd and all of them. And I said, man, that girl looks good running a relay. I don't know what her open is. She looks good running a relay. And I was like, man, can y'all find out where she's going to go to school? What's her plans? And somebody in the stands hollered, well, she's going to LSU. I was like, oh, let me back off for a minute. And I went to research her. And the times wasn't there. And I texted coach. They're like, no, we don't know nothing about her. And I was like, where are you going to go to school? Well, I'm going to LSU to walk on. Baby, you're not going to make it. You know, I'm trying to be honest with you. You know, let's put realistic in there. Let's be real. You know, reality's got to set in. And now reality is set in. And, well, what about Hinds? So I finished my team. I've got everybody on there. You're going to have to come try out now. Well, you told me back a couple of months ago you were looking. I was.
Yeah, months.
But you said you were going there. And I knew that wasn't going to happen. But you said that's where you were going. So you can't have those big dreams. You got to sit where you're at. You got to follow the standards. And you got to trust the process of yourself. Because a lot of kids, as Tyson and I were talking, they were like, well, Coach, what do you think the problem happens with some of the kids? In high school, you were going to bed because you was in your mother's house. You were getting up on time because you was in the mother's house. You were eating right because you was in the mother's house. You wasn't out partying because you was in the mother's house. You got to college, and now you're not in your mother's house.
Right.
And then they want to holler, oh, I'm stressed out. I can't make it. But you put yourself in a predicament to where your times are not good. You had all that pressure on you, and now you got to fall out. You know, and now, okay, now I gotta get somebody to blame. I'm just gonna transfer, you know. And then you go back to junior college, you come to junior college, you try to get revived, and you know, you help those kids. And I think that's some of the problem.
Are you seeing more? So I know there's bounces. So, you know, a kid goes to a 4-year for the freshman year and then bounces to the sophomore year to junior college and then back somewhere else. Are you seeing that increase? I think you would. Are you seeing an increase in that instead of straight freshmen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a kid here. Todd had one. He was a real good high jumper. He left. LSU asked him, you know, what was he going to do? He needed, you know, he just wasn't fitting in. He just couldn't make it. And he came here, won national championship, set junior college national record in high jump, and went on to Mississippi State with successful jumping. He just needed that year. You know, he coming from a small high school, and you get thrown out there to a big old pond, and you're just a little minnow, you're going to drown. Because he was used to being the biggest fish there was in a little small lake. You know, and it is what it is. But when you're in that ocean, you're going to drown. You know,
a lot of times we think of things trickling down, like like with rules and stuff. It happens at World Athletics, and then the NCAA will adopt it in the high school, etc. Are you seeing or hearing or fearing that transfer portal, NAIA roster caps moves down to the junior college world at all, or is that still light years away?
That's still way out. I think that it's going to be a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years before they get into that. I know that a couple kids have gotten some NIL deals in junior college. I don't think it's nothing big, but I think they got something. I think that some kids have, you know, doing that transfer portal. I'm just not going to run this year. They just do it on their own. I'm just going to transfer, you know. And you know, as a junior college coach, it hurts you because you know, it hurts you. You only can recruit so many, and you only get those kids to go, and well, I'm gonna transfer, and that hurts you, you know.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, Reginald, wrap us up here today. You have been at Hinds forever, my friend. As you start looking at the 2025 season, 26, 27, as you start looking at the future, what's got you excited there at Hinds Community College?
The number one thing that got me excited, you know, and it's twofold. Lost an assistant right here at the end of this season.
Yeah.
I talked it over with some mentors of mine, and talked it over with my wife, talked it over with myself, talked it over with the Lord, and I think that there's a new fire or birth of me that I want to see stuff done a different way.
Interesting.
Um,
You could be easily excused to be set in your ways at this point. And I hear you saying a fire, that means a change.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a different fire. There's a difference that I want to do something different.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches told me the other day, they're like, no, man, no, don't give up the sprints. You stay in the sprints. That's what you do. And I'm like, look, man, I did this, I did that, I did this before. So I want to go back to doing it. I want to get something new. I want a new challenge, you know? And it is what it is. Just like the pole vault. We took the pole vault on 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We would runner up one year and won it the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. You know, I got a new burn in me that's saying, okay, hey, let's see if we can't make this thing go again. You know, I know it's some junior college coaches out there. They got some loaded programs, this and that. But I want to get back to where we're not 9th in the nation. We're not 12th in the nation. We're not 8th. We're not 7th. Where we're top 5 every year. You know, and I think it's some certain things that were holding us back. I think that, you know, maybe I had got set in my ways of doing certain things. But I think that now I've seen that, yeah, I got to do this. I got to do that. And I got to do it, you know. And it's not that I never got lazy into it. It's just that we're going to keep doing it this way. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to follow the process. We're just going to do we're going to add to the process, you know. And when I talked to some people and they said, hey, man, I want to do this, I want to do that. Yeah, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to find somebody that can get in the weight room and do what they need to do so that Coach Dillon don't have to go in the weight room. Coach Dillon can be on the track working. Coach Dillon can be on the track getting that extra. You can come get some one-on-one. We can get that going. You know, I'm blessed to have a great administration here that you don't have to sit at this desk. You can take an iPad out there and conduct your business out there at the track and do what you want to do. You know, it is what it is. And they're going to help you get there. And they're behind, hey, whatever decision you make on hiring a coach, it's your program, it's your decision if you want to. We just want you to be successful. And when I got that, it's like a whole new me was brought. The 49-year-old me is still there, but it's like, hey, I might be back in my 30s now. You know, it is what it is, you know, and I feel like I can actually get something done. You know, I work with some younger kids in the summer and actually got them a little faster. And I'm like, or a little better or jumping a little higher. And I was like, I think I'm feeling myself again. You know, I think this can happen. And I know it's a big task because at one point I was like, hey, I'm going to do this by myself and see if I can do it. But, you know, hey, I just feel like it's a new challenge for me, you know.
One, when you said, I've got a new burn inside of me, I heard a collective shudder from other junior college coaches. First of all, it was like, crap. 2, you know, my experience is there is a fine line between consistency and staleness. You know, we strive as coaches, especially someone like you who is very operational about things like, you know, we got to do this and this has to get done. This has to get done. We need that consistency. We need that step-by-step guidelines to things. But it's real easy to get complacent with things as well, especially you've been successful. I mean, it's, you know, we all love to be complacent, you know, being a top 5 program every year type of thing. So I love that you have had this, you're describing this reawakening, this, hey, you know, back when I first started, I was excited for this and that. And then it's like, okay, now at 49, I've got that back again. I would caution other junior college coaches. I hate to say waking up the bear, but the bear is a bear for a reason. They're the king of the of the jungle there, and it sounds like this is happening here. That excites me, Reginald. I mean, to see because you can do it really quick in junior college. You know, we're not dealing with 4-year athletes; we're dealing with 2-year athletes, so it can happen really quick. That's exciting.
Yeah, you said something earlier. You were talking about the managerial of it and that. And I go back to something that happened. I was meeting with a rep to order some stuff. And you talk about organization. Every year I want to count those types. I want to count this. I want to count that. And I counted them. And I called him and I said, well, we're going to order this much. And he goes, Coach, I can't find them. I can't find them anywhere. And I'm sitting there and I done kept a list of how much we got in abundance. And right before my assistant left, I made him recount and put him here and there. And he was like, "What are you going to do, coach?" I said, "Don't worry. I got a stash over here that I know is there." And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm up. And I don't know. Hey, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Everything's already stacked up for the year, for as the gear, for as everything. And then, the assistant walks away. And I'm like, did I know something was happening? Did I do it for a reason? And it's like, all I have to do now is worry about getting the kids here and train. Every kid's in school except for 3. And it's just get here and train. I don't have to stress on nothing. Just get here and train. Mm-hmm. And that's what I say. The new fire of me is that I'm not sitting here trying to get the last couple of days. I think that I was pushed because I got it by myself these last couple of weeks. I was pushed to get it done. And I was like, that's my focus. Wow. And my AD, he never stopped me to do nothing. I think he just knew, hey, this guy's going to try to get this team going. And I just did everything myself, got them all in school, got everything going. And now I'm ready to train. I don't have to worry about nothing. It's just, let's go train, pass the physicals, get acclimated, and let's go train. And that's it. It is what it is, what happens. Those other schools out there, there's some good schools. I'm talking about some real good schools out there. And man, they've got some real good coaches and some real good athletes. But we got some real good athletes too, and it is what it is. And we're going to try to get the best out of them. Hey, if we hire somebody, we hire somebody. If we don't, we don't. But I feel that I can get the job done regardless, So it is what it is.
Well, I'm excited for you, my friend. I just heard passion is what I just heard right there, I was in the system in 2000, 2001, and it was tough. Lance was at Barton and those guys, Matt Cain was there and stuff. It was hard. I tell you what, though, the coaching in junior college as a whole, as a body, has raised up. It is. I thought it was hard. It is super hard today. And so to have this reawakened bear here, man, boy, I can't wait. I can't wait to see this year and 26 and 27. It's going to be exciting. I'm super excited for you as well, my friend, just professionally, just to get back to not putting words in your mouth, but just having that more excitement to doing things. And a guy like you who's curious, because that means you're going to continue to learn and adjust things. And that seems like that'd be good for you. Like you'd enjoy that. So I'm excited for that for you as well.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, man, it takes people like Todd Lane, like you, like Lance, like Matt, it's everybody out there that keeps the sport going. It's even the young guys, and he's an older guy, but I call him a young guy, Miguel Pate. I talk to him all the time.
Hey, I don't think he gets the due that he gets because he's so quiet. Yeah. People forget about Miguel, and let me tell you what, don't forget about Miguel Pate, man. Come on.
Yeah. It's just like Brian Johnson at Louisiana Tech. I watch him, and I try to. And Brian's very, very quiet. He won't share so much, but I'm steady pushing at him. What you think about this, Brian? And he's like, well, Coach, you had a kid. No, what do you think? And it helps me. And, even you with certain things, as equipment and all of that, I just appreciate everything everybody's done. And I think that, we'll have a good season. We'll have a good year. We'll have a good next 5, 6, 7 years. We'll see what happens, just go for it,
Well, you definitely are a great example of your circle as well. You keep yourself surrounded by very, very good people out there. So I think that's a great lesson as well. Reginald, thank you so much, man. One of the most valuable things you can give me is your time and, to sit down with us and talk about your journey. It was just, I continue to be surprised every time. And I love this coming from a complete 180 on how a majority of coaches get into it, not coming at it with the curiosity of like, oh, how do I make a kid jump farther, run faster, more operationally, and then falling in love with okay, well, now how do I make a Trell Kimmons and other people a lot faster out there? I just think that's fascinating. And I think that gives a lot of people hope to see a path that you also can become a very, very successful college, not even just college, but a track and field coach, even if you're not instantly in love with the sprint mechanics and things like that. That track is a all-encompassing thing. It's not just on the track. And so I think your story gives a lot of hope and again, to be able to see that path for others out there. And I'm grateful for that very much.
I appreciate everything you've done for the sport, man. Not just for me, but for the sport, the coaches, the athletes, everybody, man. You know, even the equipment guys. Y'all done a great job with that, man. I really appreciate everything y'all do for them.
You deserve it, my friend. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. I just, I hope you can hear it in my voice because it's certainly in my heart. I always I never try to play favorites, but I just have a little bit more love for my junior college coaches and athletes. I really do. And I think until you've been there, if you've never coached junior college, even if you've recruited a lot of junior college athletes, I still don't think it's the same until you've been on that level. It'll change you. It'll change you molecularly. It really will,
Yeah.
all for the better. And so anytime I get coaches like Coach Dillon here on the podcast that are junior college guys and gals, man, I just love it. It's my favorite one in the whole world. And I get to go to a lot of great track meets, and I still love the junior college nationals first and foremost. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to continue through the summer here in our 5th season on the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. Join us next week. We'll do it all over again and have some fun. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.